Welcome to Gemara Academy. In this class, we will learn Tosfos Dibra Maschel, Gzeira Mishum Tel B'Rishus Harabim. Let's begin. Gzeira Mishum Tel B'Rishus Harabim. It's a decree because of a hill in Rishus Harabim. Here in the Gemara, he brought down the teaching of Rabbi Meir that a person is not allowed to carry from Rishus HaYachid to a post in the Rishus HaYachid, even though he's in a Rishus HaYachid and the post is a Rishus HaYachid. And the reason is Gzeira Mishum Tel B'Rishus Harabim. It's a decree. It's a concern on account of a hill in Rishus Harabim. We're concerned that if we permit a person to carry from the Rishus HaYachid to the post, he'll come to carry from a Rishus Harabim to such a post. And that would be Asam and Atera, since this post is a Rishus HaYachid. So there's two parts of Tosfos, and let's see it inside. Tosfos says, Oimeri, and it's in a purple arrow pointing upwards because it's an explanation to what the Gemara said. Re says that from a house to the upper floor, Rabbi Meir did not prohibit carrying. It's not always from one Rishus HaYachid to another a person can carry. It's rather that it has to be similar to the case that we brought down, a post in the Rishus HaYachid. And Tosfos explains, for he won't come to carry by this from Rishus Harabim to an upper floor. A person is not going to say, since he can carry from the ground floor of a house to the upper floor, he can carry from Rishus Harabim to the upper floor. It's not going to come to that, and therefore we're not concerned that by permitting the person to carry from the ground floor to the upper floor, it'll lead to an Isser. And the reason why such a thing a person would not come to do, the minker michitzasa v'leito inshi bihachi. For the walls are distinguishable. It's distinguishable that this is a Rishus HaYachid, and people won't become mistaken with this. A person won't think that he can also carry in this manner from Rishus Harabim to the upper floor. Eladavka tel b'Rishus HaYachid, rather specifically a hill in Rishus HaYachid, or the example of a post. Gazar otu tel b'Rishus Harabim. He decreed on account of a hill in Rishus Harabim the leka mechitzis that doesn't have walls. So Tosfos is explaining that we gave the reason of Gzeira Mishum Tel, and we brought a specific example, and it's limited to that. The Isser to carry from one Rishus HaYachid to another Rishus HaYachid is only if it's such a Rishus HaYachid that he'll come to carry to that Rishus HaYachid also from a Rishus Harabim. However, if it's a Rishus HaYachid that a person will not come to carry to such a Rishus HaYachid in the Rishus Harabim, because he's able to do it from the Rishus HaYachid, then we did not make the decree. And the explanation is that if it's just a post or a hill, then it's not distinguished as a separate Rishus. A person might come to do it in the Rishus Harabim. However, something which is separated with walls, like the upper floor of a house, then there's no concern or person will think he's permitted to do that from the Rishus Harabim. And Tosfos supports this by saying, "Uvereish kol gages mefarish le'amar Reb Meir elo kegoyin Amud v'amas harechaim dekvi'i." And in the beginning of Perikol Gages, he explains that Reb Meir only said this, for instance, by a post and the base of a mill that's permanent, of a loy machteshes v'dvar metalplim, but not a grindstone and other movable objects. Reb Meir is only speaking about things that are permanent, not things that are movable. So if there were to be a movable object, which is a Rishus HaYachid, then a person is allowed to carry between the Rishus HaYachid and that object in either direction, and we're not concerned he'll come to do it from the Rishus Harabim. So what Tosfos is saying here is two things. Number one, he's bringing us additional information about this din, that it doesn't apply by movable objects, and it's also a support for what he said, that Rabbi Meir's teaching is not universal to all Rishus HaYachid, it is limited. And so he gave the explanation that it's specifically when there's a concern, and he supports this by showing that we see it doesn't apply everywhere. So that's the first part of Tosfos, where Tosfos brings down that the teaching of Rabbi Meir is not said everywhere. Now the second part of Tosfos, V'oimeri, and Re says, Ta'afal gav the kaimel on Rabbi Meir b'gzei reisov, even though we rule like Reb Meir by his decrees, afilu legabe rabbim, even against the rabbim, and it's in a purple arrow pointing upwards because Tosfos is telling us something related to this. So even though generally we follow the decrees of Rabbi Meir, even when he's opposed by the majority, like it's proven in the beginning of Perak Afalpi that we follow Rabbi Meir even when he's against the majority. Gabe Hoda Amar Rabbi Meir, by this the Rabbi Meir said that Asur lahashis ishtei afilu shah achas b'lei ksuba, that it's asur for one to keep his wife even 1 hour without a ksuba. We follow that decree of Rabbi Meir even though he's opposed by the rabbim. So even though generally we follow the decrees of Rabbi Meir, even when it's opposed by the majority, says Tosfos, Hacha ein halacha Rabbi Meir. Here the halacha isn't like Rabbi Meir. So he says his explanation to what we said in the Gemara, that although we generally follow Rabbi Meir, Re says over here we don't. And now Tosfos brings a proof to this. To be Perikol Gages, once again he brings down from Perikol Gages in Eruvin. For in Perikol Gages, Paskinen behedya halacha Rabbi Shimon de Palagale. We clearly rule that the halacha is like Rabbi Shimon that argues with him. We say that we follow Rabbi Shimon and not Rabbi Meir. V'ka'amar, and he says, referring to Rabbi Shimon, and said that echad gagas, ve'echad chatzeres, ve'echad karfifiyes, by roofs, by yards, and by karfifiyes, in any of these cases of a reshus hayachid, reshus achasein lekelim sheshafsu b'seicham, they are one reshus for kelim that were shavis in them, items that are in them, they're one reshus for them. And it's permitted to carry from a roof to a yard. A person can carry between any two reshuyas hayachid without exception. So we see that although generally we follow Rabbi Meir by his gzeris, here we do not rule like him, because clearly in Perikol Gagis we say that we paskin like Rabbi Shimon, who says that a person can transfer between any two reshus hayachids. So just to summarize, Tosfos began by bringing down that Rabbi Meir did not say his din in every case. Rather, it's only when we're concerned that it'll lead to an Isser Minatera. And bring a support to this, that we find clearly that it doesn't say his din by Metatlin, even if they are a Reshus HaYachid. A person could carry between a Reshus HaYachid and a Metatlin that are a Reshus HaYachid. And the second part of Tosfos is that he said that although generally we follow Rabbi Meir and his decrees, over here we don't, and he brought a proof to this, a support from the Gemara in Eruvin that clearly rules like Rabbi Shimon, who says a person is permitted to carry between any two Reshus HaYachids.